So this is the astrology chart for the full moon. And this happened a week ago, and I'm going to show you where the energy has progressed to. Now, if you don't know the meaning of the symbols, don't worry about it, because I'm going to tell you the story. Now, here's where we're able to make the breakthrough, something that really has facilitated us, right? Here's the moon at 11 of Capricorn. Capricorn, the moon, our emotional state of being, is cooler in Capricorn. Our ability to access our intuition, right? The mind in general, the primitive mind, our ability to gain insight from within is in the cooler sign of Capricorn, but the sign ruled by Saturn, which means structure, right? Saturn brings structure to our lives and shows us how to build properly. The moon in Saturn is about highlighting the structure of systems and our relationship with that, and where these things have failed us here, because here's Pholus. Pholus was the centaur that accidentally dropped a poison arrow on his foot and killed himself. Okay, so he acted foolishly. He made poor choices that led up to that. I've told this story before in some of my astrology videos. But he basically made a choice that was poor, and that was far-reaching. So with Pholus in the sign of Capricorn, essentially there's a foolishness in the authorities of this world, right, that are running great systems. The moon, the full moon at this position, so close to Pholus, but about free of its influence, because it's 3 degrees away from an asteroid and moving in the opposite direction. The moon's moving opposite from Pholus. So we're able to lift ourselves out of our folly, right, if we choose, as the moon moves forward in the next 2 weeks. That's the theme of the full moon here. We can lift ourselves out of mistakes we've made, too, related to involvement with big systems of government, finances, big structures. It might be a good time to reconsider job, to reconsider where you have your money, to reconsider, what are my values related to these systems? Like, for example, I just spoke with a family member this morning about changing a subscription we have to a company that supports, right, values that I want to promote. Why should I put my money with a company that is promoting activities that actually work against my country? How our health, like how we live our lives. Gosh, I don't want to support that anymore, and I can clearly see it. So I'm going to shift, right? I'm going to shift my energy. So we can have these kind of insights, and you see that the moon of Pholus. I'm going to talk about something a lot of people don't talk about. It's in a quincunx, and that's a spiritual challenge. And the spiritual challenge is to Varuna, justice, and the god of the ocean who binds sinners, right? A Hindu deity. Justice is with victory, okay? So I wouldn't want to be a bad guy right now. I wouldn't want to be someone acting from the shadows, because first of all, if they're trying to do that in our big systems, they're making foolish decisions, especially if they're acting in the lower part of the degrees of Capricorn. But they're also quincunx justice. And so it's more likely here that justice is going to be served from their activities, and that justice will be victorious. It's exact. Just the asteroid for victory is exact with the asteroid for justice. That's pretty amazing. And the quincunx is actually more than that. It's a yod. So it's a yod from Saturn in Pisces, right? Spirituality taking form in a way that benefits us moving forward in life. And we're reviewing this right now, Saturn's retrograde, but this is a yod, the finger of life, the finger of God, pointing at this is what the divine wants to see in the chart: justice for the people, right? Because Leo is the sign of individuals in the collective that's moving forward in a new way, Aquarius. How is that highlighted? It's highlighted in our health, well-being and how we live, because the asteroid Hygeia, the goddess of health and wellness and our lifestyle, how we live, she wants to do something new in Aquarius. We're moving into a new way of living, but we are strapped with poor decisions and bad health outcomes that have been made. And so there's an opposition here with Venus, right? See Venus at 22, Hygeia is at 23, and Mars is at 25. This is an opposition with a lot of power and legs, okay? Because some people are having very negative health outcomes because of choices that they have made, or just things that have happened to them that were not their fault in the past 3 years. But some people have actually consciously made decisions that have ended up being poor choices. Okay, and that is coming home to roost, and it's not pretty, right? And all of this is in a T-square with Uranus. So shocking news, shocking changes. But look, Uranus brings us closer in relationship to the divine. And so people who have made mistakes, we're going to see wisdom come out of it for them, right? For the and you know, for us, I'll just speak because I'm not perfect either. But here it is, Metis at 23, the wise counselor. This is the one goddess that could counsel Kronos, Saturn. Okay, so Saturn's like an old man set in his ways. That is very powerful. But the one woman that he will listen to, the one goddess who can advise him, is Metis, because she embodies wisdom and feminine wisdom. And so when you see what you see happening around us, you know, and I have a neighbor who is a hospice worker, and she was telling me we're seeing so many more young people, and she said it with this, she just couldn't understand, you know, and sadness. But there is a wisdom here embodied in the soul paths of the people that are going through these things. And I know that this doesn't make mental sense, but we have to understand that every human's choice, right? They have God within them. Their choices are valid. They have God advising them within them. And so there is some reason that their soul is going through this, and that is going through these hard times. And I believe that these hard times benefit us, and that God turns our darkness to light. You know, God turns the shocks to our highest good, especially when we, you know, bring the light of consciousness to it and really go within, deeply pray into these experiences to bring the light. That is one of the best ways we can treat ourselves, right, when we are going through tough times. Well, here's the chart for today, and I want to show you what happened and why we made a breakthrough. You see here the moon has now advanced from Capricorn to Aquarius today. And what happened? Well, it went over Pluto, it went over Hygeia, it went over Saturn, it went over Nessus. Nessus is great betrayal. Great betrayal that creates victims and brings down heroes, right, without their understanding of what's going on. Well, the moon has gone over all of these energies, and then, you know, Saturn structure, Hygeia we talked about, Pluto, incredible power, right? And then Neptune, spiritual insight, but also retrograde delusion. You know, where have I fooled myself, right? That so relates with the energy of the full moon. And as the moon went over all of these in the past week, we've been able to consider these because they're all retrograde. But we've been able to consider the energy from a place of coolness, from a place of calmness, because the full moon's in Capricorn. And so we've been able to handle receiving the insights, handle seeing where power's been misused, where we've made health choices that we need to change, right? Where the structure in our lives has to change. Where can we connect spiritually and gain insight and support from God in our lives? And then we broke into Aquarius, and that's where the breakthrough came in. And we faced Chiron, this K here, the sign of mastery, the sign of our woundings, but our woundings overcome leads to mastery. And who was Chiron? He was the centaur, that taught the sons and daughters of the gods and goddesses, right? And he mentored. He was a polymath. He knew something about everything, and he healed from his woundings, and he overcame his mortal wound and became a constellation in the sky, a master teacher. So going through the past week has brought us face to face with our ability to have mastery over key areas of our life, areas in which I've already mentioned, right? And Venus is about resources. Venus is about what do we really care about, and Mars, the male energy, right? Backing us up, backing up the female understanding of what is truly valuable is life. Ultimately, life within the human body and the feminine ability to create God's, with God moving through her, the new life, the new form, the new human, right? And the masculine ability to help generate this, right? Because the masculine is half of this initial creation with the sperm, and then to protect that life, to help nurture it, right? From male wisdom, from male action. It's really incredibly beautiful. And these two energies in Leo, the sign of the individual, are flanked by Lilith and Pallas Athena with victory for justice. So we look at the elevation of Lilith's energy. She protects in the non-physical. And a woman who's pregnant needs to protect herself non-physically, right? And she can protect her child. She can protect her home and her family and her partner non-physically. And here's Pallas Athena, right? The warrior goddess, the one who backs human heroes, right? So we are flanked with incredible positive energy to make these dynamic changes, and the coolness of mind, the coolness of emotion to be able to walk through it. And we're walking through it individually, but we're walking through it, right, with the sign of Aquarius highlighted here opposing this incredible stellium of energies. We walk through it, but we're not alone. God's got our back, the angel wing at the spine, right? And the other angel wing was in the shadow. We wouldn't have been able to see our strength unless we were able to look through the shadow, right? Because our greatest tools, our greatest strengths, and some of our strongest, most supportive energies for ourselves can be buried in emotional detritus, rust, like rust on steel, in thought detritus, like rust on steel. And when we cool down, we have the capability to overcome.